your the actual blue bloods. They are blue bloods because their colors are blue, right? Duke, UCLA, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas. Those are your 5. After that, you've got UConn. You've got
UConn's kind of blue too.
UConn is still blue. You're right.
Now I'll say this:
who's the one? I think Indiana is, and maybe I'm just Gen X, but I still look at Indiana as a top tier basketball school.
No, not the same over here. Not even close.
Okay?
Like I remember.
I guess that is the difference.
Like they
so
produced
Gonzaga, you would say unequivocally, Gonzaga is a bigger brand than Indiana when it comes to basketball.
Right now, yes. Now,
I'm saying overall, if you think like, again.
You want to talk all-time wins? It's not close.
But I'm like Robin Hood stock watch. You think Gonzaga's stock?
I would.
Higher.
I know Indiana's got Mike Woodson, I believe.
The fact that we don't know their coach
yeah,
probably
I think
says
it's Mike
something
Woods.
right there.
Yeah, I'm 90% sure in that. And obviously the history. I mean, you want to talk all-time wins. I think Indiana's going to win that going away. You got
Indiana basketball, interesting enough, because they're both in the same state. It's a bit Notre Dame football. Like, you ask people of a certain age, they're like, oh, of course, Indiana. Yeah, they're always good. Like Bobby Knight, the Hoosiers. Hey, Gene Hackman was in the movie, right? Rudy. Like, they both have movies, even though the movie Hoosiers wasn't about Indiana basketball university, but it was about basketball in the state of Indiana and all that stuff. But if you look at UCLA, Kansas, Kentucky.
And how about the fact that Gonzaga's colors are blue, too?
A little bit, something like that.
Yeah,
but Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, UCLA, UConn,
Kansas,
obviously.
Blue too. They're all blue. They're all blue.
And then after that, I mean, who else? Gonzaga is it. I don't know of a bigger basketball brand where you go like, oh, yeah, like, Oklahoma State's got a good basketball program. Michigan's got a good basketball program. You've got Louisville had a good basketball program. I guess Villanova. I would put Villanova in there in the top 10. Now, Villanova post Jay Wright. I think we still have to wait and see. But Gonzaga is, in terms of putting players in the NBA, being involved in the top 10 and the Final Four, capable of winning a national championship every single year. Every single year. Not saying they can, because they still haven't gotten over that hump yet, but they are capable every single year of winning a national championship, and they're now in the new rebuilt Pac-12. They don't play football. So in about 15 minutes, we're going to talk about what I think is a bit of a gamble. It could pay off. Is it a safe bet? Is it a risky bet? Where is the Pac-12 in terms of the value that Gonzaga basketball brings to the conference? And do my favorite thing, which is a little story time with Uncle Justin, because basketball and live sports is very different in 2024 than it was, say, 15 years ago. So that's going to be coming up in a bit. Also, this Devontae Adams thing is fascinating because Justin, I don't know what the Raiders are doing.
Do you need any more indication that I was
what they're doing?
Yeah, like again, I
guess we could do that segment once a month. Like, what are the Raiders doing?
Yeah, this is an not to you specifically, but to our entire listening audience. This is an I told you so. I told y'all months ago Antonio Pierce was a fake hire, and this was a terrible move. And now you see how bad the Raiders have been. The fact that he, as a head coach, is liking Instagram posts saying that Devontae Adams needs to be traded. You clearly don't know how to handle it.
That actually happened. That wasn't just internet. I saw that, and I'm like, oh, this is internet rumor.
No, that happened. And
I saw also he was calling everybody, all of his players by name, and then he said, and then 17, he won't call him by his name.
Well, Devontae, they had a rift because Devontae said, I can't remember if you watched Receiver on Netflix.
I did.
Devontae said some stuff about the Raiders, particularly like, I need to get out of here. I need to not waste my life here. And
yeah, that's what happens when you've got Sean or Josh McDaniel as your head coach, who is, again, an inept hire. That's what happens when
Trippy told Gruden was a good hire.
You don't.
He just kind of got in his own way. He just kind of got in his own way. Obviously.
Be careful before you hit send there, Gruden.
But like football genius or football minds aside, Gruden was a great hire, but you're right. You go get McDaniels, who you're like the career coordinator. He doesn't do it. You're like, all right, this guy had the players rally for him, and it was fun last year. And now you see, oh, the fun is gone. We've still got, one of the biggest brands in football and one of the nicest stadiums in football, and we're not winning.
And I love Gardner Minshew, and I root for Gardner Minshew, but I could understand if I'm Devontae Adams, and it's like, wait a minute, I came here for a big payday, for one. Let's not pretend that he left Green Bay to go to Las Vegas and he got paid. And good for him. Everybody should be able to get paid. But part of that was that he was going to play with his old buddy, right? Because him and Carr were both at Fresno State. They were good friends. And so he left Aaron Rodgers to go play with Derek Carr, but also to get paid. And then Derek Carr got hurt. Wasn't it like it was? Remember when they wouldn't let Derek Carr in the facility? Remember they locked him out of the facility?
Again, they're just
so you got Devontae Adams. Like, wait a minute, you hire Josh McDaniel, as Brendan just said, career coordinator. You locked my college roommate or my college teammate. I don't know if they were roommates or not, but my college teammate who is my quarterback, and because of an injury and a rift and whatever, you lock him out of the building. I am in the prime of my career, and the best guy you go and get me is Gardner Minshew, which I love Gardner Minshew, but I can understand if I'm Devontae Adams going like, this was the best we could come up with for a quarterback. This was our best option, was to go and get Gardner Minshew, the backup from Indianapolis. That's your plan. And then shockingly, the plan's not working. You mentioned it. Antonio Pierce is taking it personal, which you cannot do as a head coach.
Nope.
I talk about Pete Carroll a lot. One, because I was able to watch up close and personal the way Pete Carroll handled it. Brady Henderson mentioned it when we talked to him on Monday about how Pete Carroll would have big personality. You know what he never did? He never took it personal. He knew that this is an emotional sport with emotional players that have to play on the tightest of tight ropes between kind of insane and a normal person. That's the tightrope that players are walking. And so when you're Devontae Adams and the receiver documentary has got the cameras pointed at you and you're just like, you guys screwed this whole thing up with Derek Carr, who I know they just lost, but Derek Carr still seems to have it in New Orleans. Get me out of here. Who wouldn't say that?
Well, and
now you can't. So as a head coach, you cannot take that personal.
Right.
You can't take it personal as a head coach.
You watch the Jets. You watch the Chiefs.
Aaron Rodgers says they're fine.
They're not.
No, Brendan. Aaron Rodgers.
I'm just
says
saying, just from my perspective,
him and Robert Saleh are fine. Says they're fine.
But does he have enough fine weapons that you can never have? And they're buddies, right? Devontae and Aaron are buddies. So I say the Jets are top priority, and then
I didn't think about the Jets.
Yeah, with Devontae, Aaron are buddies. That's been thrown out, and then obviously just for selfish reasons, the Chiefs make stuff like this work all the time.
Okay,
so that wouldn't surprise me either.
There's as dumb as the Raiders are, they're not dumb enough to trade Devontae Adams in the division.
Depends on how desperate the Chiefs are to win 3 in a row. Could they give high draft cap? If they are, you get Devontae Adams. Who's?
But if you're not even the Raiders are stupid enough to trade him in division.
You're probably right, unless it's
they're not that dumb.
Because they said they want a 2nd and 5th round pick. So if the Chiefs come in and go, here's a 2nd and a 3rd, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting negotiations.
Who else who would be in the mix? Because I think you're right. The Jets, clearly, with the whole, and it would be just such a New York move, right?
The Rams without Puka and Cooper.
Rams have no wide receivers at all.
Nope. So that would be interesting, and I'm sure Devontae'd love to play with Matt Stafford. That'd be nice. That'd maybe save their season. Mm-hmm. So that would be interesting.
What the Bengals?
Kind of set with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but
I thought Jamar Chase is kind of unhappy. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're 1-3. So, right, that'll make anybody unhappy.
Maybe New Orleans. If you're New Orleans, you're like, you like Derek Carr. We know you like Derek Carr.
Devontae, am I going to do this again?
Can I go down to New Orleans?
There are some teams, again, now the ESPN's already piping up the Jets, and it makes sense because he and
How
Aaron.
about your former team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
No,
No?
Godwin and Evans, they're set. They feel good.
Okay.
They
I
feel
keep
good.
forgetting about Godwin. He's
Yeah, he had a nice
a
game this
very
weekend.
good player that I keep forgetting about.
Yeah, he helped crush the Eagles this weekend.
He's like low-key, like,
Kind of good.
top 10 receiver.
Yeah, no, he's kind of good. But no, that's
I'm just trying to think of, like, teams that are, like, close to being Super Bowl teams but aren't. That would push them, who have a quarterback. That, and again, like
the Bills. Now that they trade away Diggs,
dude, the Bills.
The Bills would be interesting.
That's the league should never let that happen.
No, the league shouldn't let him take
Josh Allen should not be able to throw to Devontae Adams.
Oh,
that should not be allowed. That's in the bylaws somewhere.
I agree, Jeff.
It's true.
The Chiefs would be worse. Could you imagine Mahomes to Devontae with Travis Kelce still in the field?
I think you just nailed it. I think it's the Jets or the Bills.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those two teams.
I'm like, now.
And if I am the Bills, I give up so much.
You see the Steelers gonna make a call? The ESPN threw out the Steelers and Cowboys too. Your Steelers gonna make a call? An impact?
Okay, so I don't know how much of I like Devontae Adams, but if Devontae Adams didn't like Gardner Minshew throwing him the football, he's really not going to like Justin Fields throwing him the football.
And here's
I guess Fields is getting better, and he played well in the second half against Indianapolis. I would love to have Devontae Adams on the Steelers, but I think it is a recipe for disgruntled. Do you know what I mean?
Extreme.
Like you bring him in, he would be gruntled for a little bit, but then he's be like, Justin Fields is my quarterback. I am not happy about it.
Here's the problem, too. And they said no matter what, whoever he trades for is going to have to restructure his deal. Justin, he is due $38 million next year, $36 the year after.
It's a lot of money.
For a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver.
Good news, but the Steelers, the only reason they have some good news is because they have got Russ, and Russ isn't sticking around for long. But they've got Russ and they got Justin Fields, both on kind of manageable deals. And I think Fields is still on his rookie deal, right? Or maybe a restructured
It's a short,
deal?
yeah. But to your point, there's they've already have the framework in place for the Ayuk trade, so the Steelers can pick up literally right where they left off.
All right.
That's intriguing.
Right. Let's get it. I just think Devontae Adams goes to the Steelers, and it's just like he's gonna be so unhappy by Halloween.
Yeah, the opposite. No,
He'd be so unhappy. And then he's going to make George Pickens unhappy. And then you're going to have another situation where the receivers are all unhappy. And I can't have that in my universe.
Don't worry, Jan. Everyone here is extremely gruntled.
Everybody's gruntled right now. I am gruntled to be, I don't know if that's a thing, but we're going to move on with it. I'm gruntled to be hanging out with you guys. Coming up next, Pac-12 making moves. Basketball moves. Is there value? Is there gold in them there, basketball hills? We'll talk about that next. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, so the news dropped yesterday that the Pac-12 has now welcomed in its 8th member. It is the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Now, the Gonzaga Bulldogs do not play football, but they play basketball really, really well. And if you take a look at how the Pac-12 is now structuring the new conference, we kind of, like, offhand comment I made yesterday is the new Pac-12 better at basketball or a better basketball conference right now than the old Pac-12, especially because you have got San Diego State and Gonzaga, two teams that are capable of winning the national championship. More on that in a moment. But it was an interesting move by Teresa Gould, who is now trying to rebuild this conference. Also, the news came in that Texas State is off. They're off the Mountain West table. They said, thanks, but no thanks. It's not you, it's me. We're going to go.
We've got to get TMU somewhere.
We're going to go back to Texas. So here's what I'm wondering. When you look at the way the Pac-12 has been rebuilding this conference, all of us, one, it's October, and two, because it has driven everything, we look through it through a football lens. We just do. Eventually, basketball season is going to come around, and I'm going to be like, Oregon's playing Indiana tonight. That's weird. It's a conference game. But we look through it through a football lens. That's just the reality. But now kind of looking at what the Pac-12 is doing, are they taking a sharp left turn to Basketballville? And is there value in this move? Now, I want to tell you an old story. It's my favorite thing to do. Let's go back in time. Gonna go back in time. That's Huey Lewis and the news. Let's go back in time to 2010. All right, 2010 is when I believe the conference realignment craziness really started. And we all learned about things like grant of rights and all the TV money. Now, there was conference realignment before 2010, and obviously there was the breakup of the Southwest Conference, the creation of the Big 12, the SEC getting Arkansas and ultimately getting Texas A&M, and all of that was going on in the 90s, but it got real crazy in 2010. Here was the plan, and it nearly happened. So much so, there was a press release from the University of Texas that was written and ready to be mailed out. Here's what was going to happen. Back then, Larry Scott was being very, very aggressive, and the Big 12 was kind of floundering. And Texas and Oklahoma, as we have learned over the last 10 years, were getting very tired of carrying the water for the Big 12 conference. The Pac-12 had just started the Pac-12 network, or were in or hadn't started the Pac-12 network. But the rumors and rumblings were going that the Pac-12 is going to start their own network, and they are looking to expand. So here was the plan. Texas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech were all headed out west to join Colorado and Utah in forming the Pac-16. That was going to happen. The Big 12 was going to get absorbed. We ultimately would see Texas A&M and Missouri would go to the SEC. The ACC was going to take on some other teams. And I remember in the entire time, the dominoes that fell, there was one team that stood alone that would ultimately be without a conference. And the talk was, what's going to happen to Kansas? And I remember going and asking very smart college football and college media people about, like, well, how does Kansas not have a place in this whole plan? There were going to be some Big 12 teams that were going to join the Big 10. There were going to be some going to the ACC. Kansas, they were saying, well, Kansas might just end up in the Big East. Now, the Big East was very different back then. The Big East still, before the ACC went and raided them, they were a football conference, but they were not a big-time football conference, because I believe Miami and Virginia Tech had already left and have gone to the ACC. This was the Big East of Rutgers, of Louisville, of South Florida. And it's like, well, Kansas might end up in the Big East. And the thought at the time was, how on earth could Kansas basketball, one of the biggest brands in all of basketball, arguably, you could say, there's a case to be made, it's the biggest basketball brand. You could take Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky. You could take any of those four, and you could make, in my opinion, an argument that that's the biggest basketball brand. How did they get left behind? Well, we learned basketball didn't move the needle in 2010. It just didn't. Now, again, TV was different back then. Networks were different back then. Streaming did not exist in our world back then. And college basketball, other than March Madness, and March Madness, again, was run by the NCAA, they made the money off of it, not the conferences like they do in football. And basketball just didn't move the needle. That's why all the moves were being made by football. Now, what ultimately happened was the Big 12 on a midnight Hail Mary went to Texas and said, hey, you know your Longhorn network that's going to pay you $300 million? You can keep it, because they weren't going to let them do it. And Oklahoma, you can have not more money than Texas, but you can have more money than the rest of the conference. We cool here? And they were like, yeah, we're cool. And that lasted a dozen years until ultimately Texas and Oklahoma got a bee in their bonnet and said, we're going to the SEC for about $80 million a year. Sorry. Which is now the shifting and everything that's going on right now. Now, why do I tell you that story? Because in 2010, when sports on TV was very, very different, streaming didn't exist, basketball did not draw water. It just did. Certain programs could make a bit of a profit in athletic departments. Most basketball programs that made the NCAA tournament were basically breaking even. Football was funding all of the athletic departments and all of the other sports. Fast forward to 2024. Here we sit. We have streaming now. What does streaming mean? I think this is important, Brian Windhorst. Why would I bring up streaming? It's important. I was talking actually about this with my wife the other day. Brian, when was the last time you sat through a commercial on a TV show? On a TV show, the last time you sat through a commercial?
Yesterday.
You sat through a commercial on a TV show? What TV show did you watch?
We've discussed this. You pay for ad-free plans. I don't.
Okay. I mean, on TV, you've got your YouTube TV, right? You're like, I'm going to watch this. Shawshank Redemption's on. I'm going to watch this with the commercials.
No.
Nobody does that anymore.
No. Commercials are for weather, news, and live sports. That's it.
Exactly.
Or the commercials we have to watch.
But those aren't even real. Those are like what? A 30-second, and then it gets back in.
2 minutes, man.
You got 2 minutes?
2 minutes on Hulu. So they're pretty bad sometimes.
What are you on?
What? Hulu's expensive.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm like, Hulu ad-free is a little expensive. Right. Again, but yes, I get your point, and it's valid.
But most people, especially with YouTube TV, or even when you had cable, you DVR something, you watch it, you fast forward through the commercials. You know what I mean? The one thing, and I know this because I was watching my Braves get tattooed by Tatis yesterday. The one thing you still sit through commercials is live sports. If you were a Seahawk fan and you were watching Monday Night Football like was on in my house, you sit, you watch the entire game. And when all of a sudden there's a punt, and there we go, there's a fair catch, and we'll see the Detroit Lions offense when we come back. 3 minutes. Captive audience. When I watch TV shows, whether it's on a DVR or whether it's on streaming, I don't watch the commercials. Fast forward right through them on the DVR. There's no more appointment viewing in TV shows anymore. I'll fight you on this one. You give me that.
I am, because it for
what's an appointment
for
show?
8 weeks, no later than 6:30. I watch House of Dragon all summer.
Okay, but
and
you don't watch it on HBO at the time it is on.
Well, no, I said it drops at 6 o'clock, and there were many days where I was like 6:05, 6:10, got to get it started.
But that's still not appointment viewing, though. To me, appointment viewing is it's on at 6 and you've got it on the channel. Do you know what I mean? And we don't even do that anymore. You don't even go to the channel anymore because you're a cord cutter. If you were busy, you like 15 years ago.
I don't know.
You missed an episode of Lost. You just missed an episode.
It's true.
You had to go on the online and find the recap.
The bummer. Yeah.
Yeah. It was gone. So that was appointment viewing.
But I guess I get what you're saying, but I would push back slightly and go, it's like, I know that Tulsa King drops Sundays. Mm-hmm. I try to watch it on Sunday. I know when my shows drop, and I watch them that day.
Okay. But you said
try to anyway.
Let me ask you this. They push back while we're pushing each other back here verbally. We would never physically push each other.
Oh, no, Justin would shove me across the room. He's strong and works out. I do not.
Would never do that. That'd be mean-spirited. You said, you watched no later than 6:30, right? Would you tune into a football game half an hour after kickoff? A football game you cared about? A Beaver game?
Not that I cared about. No.
No. That's my point. It's appointment viewing. Sports is the last appointment viewing. It's the last thing where it's like kickoff is at 5 o'clock. We are going to be on our couch or in our backyard. Hello. At 5 o'clock. Braves play at 5:30 against the Dodgers. Now, by about 5:45, I didn't really want to watch it anymore because Tatis hit a bomb, and I'm like, well, this one's over. But you see what I'm saying? This is ultimately, I think, good news for the Pac-12. Because while college basketball in 2010 didn't have a lot of drawing power, because, well, college football is played on Saturdays. That's when you do on Saturdays. College basketball is on days of the week. And back in 2010, days of the week, well, no, I'm going to watch Lost, or I've got The Office on, or you know what I mean? And yeah, you could DVR and all that stuff, but spoilers were a thing, and there was appointment viewing for other things. Now it's just sports. So I wonder if looking ahead the next 3, 4, 5 years, as we are seeing, I mean, what was the NBA, Brendan, what was the NBA media deal worth? $11 billion?
Something like that.
It's like $11 billion for the NBA. NBA ratings have been tanking for years. But you know what? The value is when you want to watch your favorite NBA team, you sit through all the commercials. You can't fast forward. We have spoiler alerts with shows. You know what we don't have spoiler alerts with? Outcomes of sporting events. Nobody's going to spoil House of Dragon online, but guess what? Fourth quarter score? I can avoid spoilers for a TV show so much easier than I can avoid spoilers for, hey, second quarter, it's 14-10. So much easier.
Your Twitter is very different than mine because that was not possible. That's why I had to watch it Sunday night. So it's
super easy.
So you must
got to follow the right people.
You must not follow a lot of entertainment accounts and actors of these shows and.
No, none of it. I've been avoiding all the Yellowstone actors too. I don't want to hear or see anything because I want to go in fresh. I don't even want to know. I want any spoilers. So the reason why I bring all this up is a very long-winded way of going about it. It's I don't know. The Pac-12 might be onto something here. Is basketball, college basketball especially, is it have more value than it had 15 years ago? Because 15 years ago, it had no value. It was a penny stock. It was a. They call it in sales. I've been in value added. Here's the thing: we're gonna buy. You want to buy this car? What if we throw in the navigation? It's a value added. We'll throw in the net. It's hey, Big Ten. You want USC? UCLA? We'll throw in UCLA basketball. What do you think? A little value added there, but it might have more value than maybe it's ever had because now sports on TV. The NBA has signed a record multi-billion-dollar deal when ratings for the NBA are actually been going down. College football is holding steady with their ratings, but the money that is coming in is going through the roof. Why? Because NBC and ABC, which is owned by Disney, and NBC, which is owned by Universal, and CBS, that's owned by Paramount, they're all understanding that what would be a better thing to spend money on? Actual live sports? Or a scripted sitcom that people are going to skip through the commercials on and be done watching by episode 5? And then we're going to have to cancel it, and then we're going to have to pay out all those actors.
What's going to happen to Dr. Odyssey?
It might. I don't know.
I'm just teasing.
I don't know. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how many new, like, when's the last time, like, yeah, there's the Dr. Odyssey. There was new shows every fall.
Yeah, now it's just.
And they just kind of sprinkle them in here and there.
This goes back to my conversation about network TV, Justin. I think those executives are like, we do nothing but local weather, news, and sports. That's it.
And that's where I think the Pac-12 building a basketball conference, they might be onto something here. I look at the sports world through a football lens. Always have. I probably always will. And I am still going to be questioning what the Pac-12's ultimate plan is going to be because you still only have 7 football teams in your conference. But when 2026 comes around and you start negotiating with Apple, Amazon, NBC, ESPN, any of these, even CW, if you want to get back to the negotiating table with CW. I think, like, the joke's over on the CW. They play enough sports now. We're not joking around about it as much as we used to. It was fun because I like bringing up One Tree Hill. But you go to the negotiating table and you've got Gonzaga basketball. You've got San Diego State basketball. You've got potentially Final Four teams playing big-time matchups. They might actually have some more value than they had 15 years ago because TV is very, very different. So I am intrigued. I don't know. Again, not as hot of a take as you would expect from me, but will the Pac-12 bringing in non-football playing Gonzaga ultimately lead to value on the TV deal? Because that's where this whole thing starts and stops. Because I'll tell you right now, if the Pac-12 does a deal where they get more money per school and they get a pro rec, which is what the Big 12 did, which means if they bring in new members, those new members get a full share. If they can get a better deal than the Mountain West, guess what? All these teams that are UNLV, Air Force, all these teams that are sticking with the Mountain West, they will start peeling off because there's no contracts here. There is, like, these are handshake, I almost said gentleman agreements, but they're both conferences are being run by very successful women. These are gentle persons agreements. Do you know what I mean? So if you bring in Gonzaga, and Gonzaga can bring in enough of a value because they're a top 10 basketball program nationally each and every year, and you make more than the current you make more than the American, you make more than the Sun Belt, all of a sudden, I think, just like Colorado started flirting with the Big 12 a couple of years ago, you might see some teams and you might be able to, over the next couple of years, maybe play chess, not checkers with this thing. I do think Gonzaga is a pretty nice value. I really do. Because of all the things I just spent the last 19 minutes talking about, which is live sports brings more value than it ever has. And basketball, while it was not a needle mover 15 years ago, I still think pretty nice coup, pretty nice pickup for the Pac-12 yesterday with Gonzaga. All right. We got some college football to talk about. Some interesting comments from Dabo about Florida State a couple of years ago. Florida State's a mess, by the way. Can you fire a coach that went undefeated in the regular season last year? We'll dive into a lot of interesting news and notes around the college football world next. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, I'm sure it will probably come up again on the big show, but the Pac-12, they added Gonzaga. Gonzaga doesn't play football, and obviously we talked a bunch about that. Texas State, who was kind of in the mix with the Mountain West, they have gone off of the negotiating table. I don't know if the addition of Gonzaga changes anything with Memphis or Tulane. Who knows? But I've had my fill of conference realignment talk. I've almost gotten to the point now where it's like, all right, call me when there's an official announcement, which there was yesterday with Gonzaga. Because these teams, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. Boy, the flirting and the indecision, boy, it is it's gotten to a frustrating level. Just like I'm sure an injury situation with a former Pac-12 member has gotten to a frustrating level. We're going to talk about that right now. But first, we need the cool drums. Let's go on campus. All right, so I believe Utah heads into the bye week after taking a loss to Arizona last weekend. Their first loss of the season, Utah is now 4-1. Not since week 2 against Baylor have we seen Cam Rising play football. Now, I don't want to relitigate Brendan and I's ageless argument of whether or not there should be injury reports in college football. But I will say this has now officially gone to silliness. This whole will he play, won't he play, he's in uniform, but then he changes after the warm-up. This has officially gone to silliness. Here's what I'm wondering, though. There is the ethical part of this, right? Is Utah and Kyle Whittingham being unethical, or is this just gamesmanship, right? I could see an argument for both sides, right? Are you lying, or is it just gamesmanship? If there is no actual rule, or I think technically the Big 12 has a rule, but they're saying game time decision, which they're clearly lying about. So is that gamesmanship, or is it unethical? You decide. Here's what I'm interested in. Are the players on the team sick of this yet? That's, I think, the biggest question. Are the players on the team sick of this? Because last year, I'm sure they could probably go like, all right, we know Cam's not coming back. We're just going to tell everybody he's coming back. And maybe some players are like, yeah, fun little secret for our team. Nope. We're doing this again. We're doing this again. I wonder how long the player, because again, Cam Rising, I believe, is 7 years older than the guy who's currently playing quarterback for Utah right now. You want to hear the craziest stat I heard, Brendan? Cam Rising got hurt against Penn State, I believe, the same week as Damar Hamlin nearly died on a football field. Damar Hamlin has played more snaps since then.
I'll throw out one crazy.
Damar Hamlin's played more snaps than Cam Rising since that week.
I'll throw one out there for you.
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins quarterback Tyler Huntley was the quarterback at Utah before Cam Rising.
Boom.
He's been in the NFL for 4 years, Justin. Okay, graduated Utah after the COVID year.
Yeah.
Okay. He is 5 months older than Cam Rising.
Yeah, buddy.
And has been in the NFL
for 4 years.
For 4 years.
Yeah.
So I'm at the point where I told you earlier in the week.
It's gotten silly. It's gotten silly.
I'm like, I'm done. I'm ready for Cam. The Cam Rising experience was cool, but now it's like it's been an annoyance. It's got to the point where it's annoying.
And that's what I'm saying. If you are to that point and you don't even care about Utah football,
it's just I liked Kyle Whittingham. I like Cam Rising, but you guys, I don't know what's going on, but it's annoying now.
I understand why some coaches want to do we don't tell anybody about injuries. It's our little secret. I get it. I think it actually leads to some team building of like, that's outside. But I also do see something to the so-and-so's out. We're publicly rallying behind your guy. Do you know what I mean? I think there is value in publicly rallying behind your quarterback. Who is it? Wilson? Is it? Yeah, Isaac Wilson.
Yeah, the Zach Wilson brother.
There you go. Zach Wilson's brother, Isaac Wilson.
Sorry, you're just going to be Zach Wilson's brother, kid. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, he probably will.
You got to prove it the other way. Like
Yeah.
your brother. Your brother made too much of a name for himself.
But to me, I think there could be value in like, look, Cam's out. We're rallying behind Isaac Wilson. He's our guy, right? But like, no, Cam might play. He's a game time decision. Really?
I mean,
He's
they
been a
tried that. They tried to
decision?
rally behind the pig farmer last year. We saw how that worked.
Yeah. Until they played Oregon and then smack him right in the mouth.
So this
but
is
you know
not
what I
it.
mean?
Cam
Like-
needs to move on or get healthy. One of the two.
And at some point, this is the difference when with this whole NIL and the fact that what is eligibility anyways in college sports. The fan base, we are still used to, you come in, you play a couple years, and then you move on. Oh, it's cool. He's here. He's a fifth-year senior. That's kind of cool. By the time you get to be a seventh-year senior, I think the fan base, and a seventh year in the sense of, well, you keep getting hurt and you keep tricking us into you might play. The fans are going to get annoyed by that. And you might think, well, Justin, who cares about the fans? Well, once the fans start getting annoyed by it, I don't know.
I think
I have no actual evidence, but I do believe the fans, that stuff trickles down to the sideline. I believe it. I don't have any actual evidence to it, but I believe that if fans become annoyed, somebody on that team or a handful of players on the team are going like, we're still doing this Cam thing again?
Well,
Like, Isaac's our guy. We
It's,
know Cam's not going to play. Why do we, like, I'm sick of it. And if you and I are kind of sick of it,
yeah, I've got
the players have got to start being sick of it. At some point, it's got to be beyond gamesmanship, and it's got to be a disadvantage.
Yeah, I mean, there's so one of my closer colleagues covers the Utes, and I remember when I caught up with him last year ahead of the game when they played Oregon State, and Cam was still not made his debut, and it was, is he gonna play this week and play? Justin, everything that you just said, the fan base felt last year.
Yeah, and now we're doing it again.
Oh yeah,
Now we're doing part 2.
I bet it's a tinderbox of sorts for Utah right now. Because,
We all know the sequel is not as good as the original.
unless it's Terminator 2.
Terminator 2's good. That liquid metal thing was awesome. So awesome.
That's what I mean. Like every now and again, there's a rarity, but it's the exception, not the rule.
You should have seen that in the theater. I will still
I couldn't
say
even imagine that in Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park in the theater is still the greatest thing mine eyes have ever seen as a 12-year-old. Liquid metal T-1000 guy in Terminator 2. Oh, my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing. But, yeah, it's gotten to silly status. I don't mind that Dan Lanning doesn't do injuries. I don't mind that any of these coaches, but at some point, like, if your quarterback is out for the year, you got to just be like, it stinks. Cam's done for the year. And I don't know if he's done for the year or not, but like if your quarterback's going to be out a significant amount of time. I remember Justin Herbert broke his collarbone in, I think, 2017. And they're like, yeah, he's going to be out 4 weeks. We're going to rally around, what was his name? It wasn't Tyler Shuck. Can't even remember his name now. It's the backup to Herbert, 2017.
Wasn't Prukop, was it?
No, it was after Prukop. Anyways, I'll think of it during the break as I normally do. But I do want to let you guys know, hey, congratulations yesterday for our Ticket Tuesday winners with Dwight and Chad. Each and every Tuesday from 3 to 6, we are red hot and rolling here on Rip City Radio for more chances to win Trailblazer tickets for this upcoming season. So listen each and every Tuesday for your chance to win. Single game tickets are now at trailblazers.com. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. Braxton Burmeister. That's who it was. Knew it. We have got hour 2 coming up next. 620 Rip City Radio.
7 a.m. on a Wednesday. Brendan Slaughter with you for Rip City Mornings. The MLB playoffs wildcard action saw Kansas City take game one over Baltimore, Detroit over Houston, the Mets over the Brewers, and the Padres over the Braves. Those best-of-3 series continue tonight with those losers looking to extend to a third game. And in NFL news, the Raiders say they're open to trading star wideout Devontae Adams after that relationship has begun to deteriorate. We'll keep an eye on potential targets as the time goes on. Coming up on the big show, our next hour, we're going to catch up with Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor, talk some Ducks, everything else. This hour, we got Make or Miss. You got hour two, Rip City Mornings.
Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Hopefully you are all having a fantastic Wednesday. If you are new to the program, thanks for hanging out with us. If you are a returning customer, hey, we appreciate it. Thanks for coming back, even spending just a little bit of time. If you like what you hear, hey, tell a friend. Let them know. Some fun stuff going on over on Rip City Radio each and every morning. As Brendan just told you, we got Make or Miss coming up in approximately 20 minutes. We got some stuff we saw on the internet coming up in about 45 minutes. Playoff baseball last night. I'm not going to sit here and cry in my cornflakes, Brendan. I'm not going to sit here and tear up over my beloved Atlanta Braves going down. It's just one game. Yes, they're on the brink of elimination. Yes, I almost feel like the fact that they're even in the postseason is kind of unbelievable considering the amount of injuries that they have had to deal with all season. But the thing that I took away yesterday, and it is amazing, the atmosphere of regular season baseball to playoff baseball is like it is the biggest shift in all of sports. In terms of atmospheres, right? NFL playoffs, NFL regular season, it's the same atmosphere, it's just elevated. It's elevated. Regular season college football is a better atmosphere than what was the postseason because the postseason is at both sites. It's kind of corporate. It's still pretty cool, but it's nothing like what we saw at Georgia, Alabama. I don't think it's anything like what we are going to see in a week and a half at Oregon and Ohio State. And even mediocre games with good teams, the atmosphere of a college football regular season game, it still is at a fairly high level. Now, I'm curious what the playoff is going to look like, but I would imagine it's going to be a lot like the NFL, which is same type of atmosphere, just cranked up to 11. The same as you would during a regular season game. I've been to postseason basketball games. Depending on if it's an elimination game, depending on how far along into the playoffs. Baseball, boy. Talk about I don't know if you have ever experienced this because plumbing and water and everything else has gotten so much better. You might be thinking, where are you going with this one, Justin? Hear me out. When I was growing up, the funniest thing you could do, at least for my dumb brain, is when your younger brother would be in the shower and you run into the bathroom and flush the toilet. It was hilarious because you do that back in 1992. You flush it. You just get a surge of cold water. And it was hilarious. Or the other thing I used to do is you would go in and your brother wouldn't hear you because he was in the shower, and you would turn on the hot water of the faucet, and it would use up all the hot water, and all of a sudden, boom, now they're taking cold showers. And you would laugh and laugh and laugh, and then your mom would be like, nope, you're in trouble now because you're wasting water. You don't pay the water bill. But I'm like, but it's hilarious. I don't know if you do that anymore. I think they fixed that, right?
Yeah,
that's not a thing anymore.
Just no. I remember trying that when I was like 10, and it's like, oh yeah, I didn't do anything. It
doesn't do anything.
So yeah, no.
It used to be so awesome. It used to be the funniest thing you could do.
How many bathrooms did you have in your house growing up?
We had 2.
Okay, so better than the 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom that seemed to be so common across America.
Yeah, we had 2 bathrooms.
That's convenient.
One was though in my parents' room.
The master, yeah.
There was the ensuite.
Yeah, so you guys didn't go in there very much.
Well,
I would assume. Don't want to presume.
It was a weird time because, like, you graduate from taking a bath at night to taking a shower in the morning.
It's true.
You know what I mean? And so there was a bathtub with a shower into the regular bathroom, and there was I had two brothers, and so like they're in there brushing their teeth. So I would go and I would use my parents' shower. It was a whole thing. Got a little awkward during puberty. I'm not gonna lie. Got a little bit awkward.
It can happen.
You know what I mean? When you wake up going through puberty, if you know what I'm saying, and you got to walk to your parents' bathroom.
That's fair. That's entirely fair.
God, life is so
The
weird.
fact that you still are right there on top of brain. I feel you.
Seared into my brain of like, you wake up, you're like, because I mean, every guy knows what it's like when you know, all of a sudden you go from 12 to 13 and you wake up in the morning and you're like, I gotta walk to the shower.
Yeah.
How am I going to do this?
It's 100% true.
So weird. Anyways, and everybody just pretended it. Well, yeah, just don't worry about it.
Out of sight, out of mind, baby.
Seared into
so
my brain.
Relatable, though, Justin. That
seared into my brain. Oh, that was a tough time. Anyways, but yeah, like it was. I thought it was the funniest thing to do, and you flush the toilet. So why did I bring that up? Because like baseball, playoff baseball is kind of like that, where it's like, oh, it's it's America's pastime, and you can. You go to a baseball game. I'm sure you did it when you went to Safeco, T-Mobile. Speaking of Safeco, me and Safeco, not the best of friends right now.
Oh, they your insurance comp?
Not mine.
Oh,
not mine.
Yeah. Yep.
Not my favorite people right now. Let's just say that. Hopefully it gets fixed. But yesterday was a day of frustration that I don't think the listening audience really cares about. But yeah, when you went to T-Mobile, you probably, because you've never been up there before, maybe you took an inning like, hey, let's walk around. Let's go check it out. Let's go see what's going on down in the pen. They got garlic fries over there. Like, that's regular season baseball. I went to Fenway Park for the first time, and it's like, hey, let's go walk around. Let's go look at the green monster. You would never do that in a football game. Yeah, halftime, you take you go to the bathroom and you maybe go grab a beer. But could you imagine a football game just wandering around and like it's 3rd and 4? Like, oh yeah, we're gonna go check it. Baseball, you wander around, you hang out, you keep score. It's a beautiful day. It's a leisure activity, and then all of a sudden, October. Now it's intense. I love it. It is like it's like going from the hot tub to the pool, and it's like, woo, that was cold.
Says coming from someone who doesn't like hot tubs, I don't think that analogy works.
I did as a child. I liked him as a child. It always fascinated me that I would jump in the pool. Pool would be warm, go into the hot tub, and then you jump back in the pool, and the pool would be cold.
Yeah, I did that. I did
Freaked
that
me
not
out.
very long ago, actually. I did that in Hawaii. So you never get too old for that, Justin.
Well, I
never get too old.
You act like I hate hot tubs. It's just not my favorite thing.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't hate them. I get in them, and then I get a little bored.
Okay, so let me ask you
And then I
this.
just get right back out.
Do you, because I've hosted with you and Chad, and I think Chad sincerely hates hot tubs too.
I think Chad's more of a germ thing. I think it's more of I'm in with another person and it's hot water. Like I'm simmering in, what I mean, in close proximity to another person. It's not
out of sight, out of mind. A lot of chemicals in there.
A lot of chemicals. It's not a germ thing for me. To me, it's a boredom thing.
That's fair. So if you had a hot tub in front of your outdoor TV, like you put, let's talk your backyard.
Well,
here,
now we're talking,
and it's in range of your outdoor TV.
Now we're talking.
Okay, all right.
Maybe
we need to get Justin a hot. Anyone got a gently used hot tub we can give Justin?
No. I'm sure there's like a gajillion. It's like, yeah, exactly. We do. We bought this thing. It's a money pit. You want it? It's all yours. But yeah, the even like, I mean, I guess there's always like the exception of the rule. Like, I'm sure the Carolina Panthers have pretty leisurely football games in the NFL. I bet you by about November, Jacksonville Jaguar games, if they don't get there, figured out. It's going to be fairly leisurely out in that pool.
Yes, I said
in Jacksonville, you know what I mean? But like baseball, even like last regular season, I was watching Braves, Mets winner to the postseason. And for the first game, it was awesome. And then the second game, it was like, all right. But it still was like, oh, it's a regular season. And then you go, and I'm watching, and boy, the people of San Diego and the Friar Faithful, as they call them, they were jacked. They were ready to go. And it was in, did the Orioles play at home? They play at home, right? They're playing Kansas City at home.
They did.
Came up a little short. Your boy Adley, maybe get back into it. You got him at home, but like, those games going from even like a late September pennant race where it's like, yeah, but it's still baseball. We're still, and then you go to the playoffs and it is, fans are into it on every pitch. It's just, I love it. I love the juxtaposition regular season to postseason baseball.
Yeah, no, for sure. And just because I was curious, Justin, I had to look this up. I'm curious. Not cheap to get into the pool at Jacksonville, but not ridiculous either.
How much? Okay, so let me guess. Is this a single game? Do I have to buy the whole pool? Do I have to rent the whole pool, or can I buy a pool ticket?
You got to get 49 of your best friends.
Oh, okay.
Because they come in a cabana, and the cabanas come with 50 tickets.
50 tickets with the pool.
It actually breaks down. If you bring that many people, it's not bad.
$5,000?
$250 each. Only two.
So $2,500. Or yeah.
So, but all told, like you divide that many people, it's not bad.
So how much does it cost to rent the whole?
$12,500.
$12,500. I did the math backwards. $12,500. I thought it'd be $5,000. That's a lot.
Yeah, but again, you divide it again by 50 people, $250.
I don't know. I don't know
50 people.
I could get.
I couldn't get that many people.
18 people that would want to go hang out in a pool.
Now, if it was in like Portland, yeah, I could swing this, but
you could get 50 people to pay $250 to sit in a special, like let's PDX Diamond Project. They get it done.
No,
they figure it out. And for some reason, they put a pool out in right field, and they're like, "Why? That doesn't make a lot of sense." They're like, "We're just doing it."
It's going to be heated year-round, and it's covered, so why not?
You could get 50 people, you think?
Yeah, I think I could. Oh. I think it'd take some time. You'd need to give me like a month.
Would you like personally know all of them, or would you like?
No, I'd have to throw out some invites
to strangers,
Twitter and whatnot.
Friends of friends.
Yeah, for sure. Probably throw it out to like the Beaver's Edge fam. Who wants to go? Who wants to go up? Stuff like that. You know, all my Twitter followers, all that, and
so $12,500.
The cabana. Which is
50, to get the cabana,
50 tickets and pool access, and then I think drinks come like half price too.
They get half price drinks.
So you get it's a good deal, man. But yeah.
I don't know if it's a good deal now because the Jaguars stink.
That's true.
That is some bad football to watch.
It's a bucket list thing of mine to do.
Okay, would you rather?
Because there's also the pool at the Diamondbacks.
I was just gonna say,
yeah.
What's a better pool to watch a game in? Would you rather watch a leisurely baseball game in Phoenix? Where you could, hey, it's pitching change, cannonball. Like you could actually maybe enjoy. Would you enjoy the pool in Jacksonville, or would you just be watching a football game standing in water?
That because I'm not a Jaguars fan, right? So it's like not that I say I'm a Diamondbacks fan too, but to your point. Yeah, like I would totally be down to go sit in that Diamondbacks pool because it's way closer to get to than Jacksonville. And B, it's like 9 innings would be perfect, Justin. Just chill with your buddies, have some beers, and be like, oh, yeah, what score is it? Oh, so-and-so got a hit. Ball's coming this way. Watch out.
The football game in a pool seems odd.
I mean,
because you have to, I've seen, like, the nightclub that they built at Allegiant Stadium for the Raiders. But, like, even there, like, the seats, like, you can see, like, being in a pool, watching a game intently feels interesting. All right.
Bucket list for Brendan. We'll see if we can figure out a way to save up that much money.
You get $12,500. Just find 50 friends. Let's start a GoFundMe. All right, let's go. We got Make or Miss coming up in just a bit. But before we get to Make or Miss, I want to let you know about, one way to get to $12,500 is maybe win $1,000. How about this? Brendan, you're ineligible, but they are all eligible because they're the sixth man. That's right. Rip City Radio is looking to give one of you $1,000 cash. Keywords each and every weekday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's right now on the 15th. That's coming up very fast. And so you need to listen for your chance to win $1,000 13 times a day. Get all the details at ripcityradio.com. Make or Miss next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, in an hour from now, we're going to talk to Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor. Oregon going from the UCLA game, where very impressive first half. I feel like put it in cruise control in the second half, which I think was a smart move. Also, as Oregon fans, are we still like spoiled from the Chip Kelly era, where you just like 40 points is like that's a good start? You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking about this yesterday. Just as an Oregon fan, everything that Oregon did at UCLA was any team in the country would take that performance, right? Minus the pick six. But any team in the country would take that performance. UCLA's offense did not score at all a touchdown. They scored 2 field goals in the game. They held them to under 200 yards of total offense. Your offense, your best player as a receiver in Tez Johnson has a monster game. You were able to run the ball. You were able to move the ball effectively. It was never in doubt. And yet you still kind of feel like, meh. And I wonder, have we been spoiled? Because I think a lot of Oregon fans, including myself, still think back a dozen years ago to where it's like, if you're not scoring on every possession, if you're like 40 is like where that's the baseline. 50 is a good day. And I'm like, we're being unfair. Being a little bit unfair. And I think some of it is the hangover from the first 2 weeks of the season. But I think also some of it is just kind of, that Chip Kelly era Oregon football imprinted a lot, I think, on Oregon fans' brains of like, yeah, 35 points? That's not enough. And it's like, yeah, it's plenty. When you're on the road in conference and you got a short week. So we'll get Tyson's thoughts on that because I'm just wondering, like, man, that Chip Kelly era really just threw our equilibrium out of whack as to what is a good football performance. Other thing I was thinking about during the break, Brendan, help me out here, because we were talking about potentially going to the pool in Jacksonville. And now I'm sure you've seen this in Vegas. Now, I've been to a pool party in Vegas. Pool parties are actually my kind of thing in Vegas because they're in the middle of the day. And that's when your boy likes to party. But have you ever been around Vegas around 4:30 in the afternoon and you see the walking of the zombies, which is all the people in their bathing suits who have been drinking in the sun all afternoon, desperately trying to get back to their hotel room?
Yep.
Is like, what are the logistics of the pool at the Jacksonville game? Like, do you wear your swimsuit to the game? Is there a place where you can change?
Probably like a locker room of sorts.
You think you get a locker room there?
Well, I just mean probably like there's probably like a by that side of the stadium, probably like an expanded bathroom that maybe has bigger stalls and those kind of
50
things.
people though. I don't know.
But yeah, you probably do. I mean, it's Florida, Justin. It's never cold.
It's a good point.
Like you have to realize that. Like
it's a good point.
Like my old boss famously said, "I do not own a pair of jeans. I own one hoodie." And I'm like, that sounds absolutely perfect. So, yeah.
I don't know. I just wonder, like, do you like go home with your wet swim trunks on?
I mean, you probably dry from the humidity before you even get to the parking lot.
The humidity would be opposite, right? It wouldn't dry. It keeps your.
I mean,
I don't know.
Yes and no. I mean, it's.
I was just a weird thing I was thinking during the break. Was like, okay, you're going to the pool, right?
Diamondback should be dry before you reach the car.
Yes, that's the desert heat.
Yeah, I'd be down for either. So I need to come up with some money to make that happen.
All right. So all that being said, 12,500.
Brendan likes pools.
Brendan likes going to the pool, and I don't know.
You should know this about me now, Justin. Like I'm not convinced I'm not part fish because I enjoy being in the water so much. You know this. Like, what do I do all summer? Go to the water. What do I like to do in winter? Go to pools. I mean, it's like it's.
I just wonder.
I have a kinship with the water, man.
It's like, hey, if you were down in your little Florida excursion that you go every once in a while, and you're in and around Jacksonville, and let's just pretend you could actually go on a vacation during football season.
Sure.
And so it's like, hey, we got an extra ticket to the Jaguars pool. They're playing the Saints. You want to go? Like, do you bring swim trunks with you? Do you go in your swim trunks? Do you wear shoes? Do you wear
Yeah,
these are the things I wonder.
Flip-flops, swim trunks, rocking like a Jags or Saints T-shirt that can get wet.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm not sure I'm bold and brave enough to like walk in and I don't know. Like, say, like you, I don't know. Like, every picture that I see, everybody's got shirts on. Doesn't seem like it's a regular.
At the pool?
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures that I see, and it's like.
Well, I mentioned how adolescence and puberty was a little bit weird. I didn't hit my growth spurt till about 8th grade. So
Fair.
6th and 7th grade, I was a little chubbo and
A bit porky.
well, I don't. Would you call a kid porky?
I don't.
That's
know.
mean.
I don't.
That'd be
know.
terrible. I was a little chubby.
Husky.
Husky was
the term.
Dude, you had to wear husky jeans.
Me too. I had that for a minute.
Husky jeans. And then, thankfully, 8th grade hit, and I hit my growth spurt, and I'm like, whew, that's over. And then I went to college and got fat, and that was the worst. But
how nice is it to hit your growth spurt in 8th grade, coming as somebody who hit his growth spurt between sophomore and junior year of high school?
It was nice.
Yeah, what was
it?
You don't
was
know
nice.
what it was like to go into high school under 5 feet?
No. Growth spurt in 8th grade was nice.
I bet it was.
Right, it was summer between 7th and 8th grade, and the best part about it was when I went out for football in 8th grade, I didn't have to play offensive line anymore because that is the worst. Because when I was growing up, we didn't have, like, flag football. We didn't have youth football. And so you go into your first football you could play. Some kids were playing in 6th grade. I didn't play tackle football till 7th grade. And I went into tackle football in 7th grade thinking I am going to be Emmitt Smith, right? I'm the running back. Give me and they're like, yeah, you're a tackle. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, Myers, you are number 75, and you're a left tackle. And not like it's as valuable as the left tackle because you don't pass in 7th grade football. So, yeah, I spent my entire daily doubles in a 3-point stance just sweating. I'm like, then growth spurt hit, and I'm like, whew, never going to play offensive line ever again. Shout out to offensive linemen, though, everywhere. And shout out to make or miss. Here we go. That's a huge wake-up call to a lot of kids, though. I know now it's different because you play, like, they got flag football and stuff. But, like, back in the day, there was no organized football until you got to 7th grade. And then you're like, yeah, I'm a quarterback. And they're like, no, you're not. You get the big boy pads because you're going to be a lineman. Tough. It's a tough day sometimes.
Or, that happens, like when you get like a kid move up from like a small school, like a 3A to like and you're like, I play quarterback.
No, you don't.
You play cornerback now. Like you're safety.
You play kick return
you're
now.
You're like, this is 6A, the bigs.
Yeah, you
kind
play,
of, for now, or for you, I think it was 4A, but you know what I mean.
You're
like,
on the kickoff team now. That's what you do.
You're like, I played quarterback at. Sorry, I'm just going to insert school here. At Jervis, I was a star.
By the way,
and
shout out to Jervis.
Yeah, why not?
Let's go, getting it done out there.
No, like
Jervis.
just first one that came. But say you're, and then you go to like Lake Oswego, and you're like, hey, I was a star quarterback at Jervis. I'm a star here too, right?
Now you.
Yeah,
you're a punt return team.
Not usually, but hey, maybe we need some more high school transfer portal going on, Justin. Let's start taking. We took NFL and took it to college. Maybe we start taking college to the high school where it's like, that freshman at Lake Oswego. Yeah, it turns out North Eugene's going to hire him away for year 2.
Okay, have you seen the controversy, though, that's going on? I want to say in Georgia.
Central Catholic year 3?
I want to say
year 4?
I want to say it's going on in Georgia. Now, we don't have enough good high school football players to where this is an actual thing.
Very accurate.
But in Georgia, private schools, because they are not under the purview of the Board of Education, are able to give football players NIL deals. And they're able to be eligible to play. But public school kids are not eligible. And there's a 5-star D tackle at some public school that I think got suspended because he took money. And they're like, but the private school, and they're in a lawsuit right now. Welcome to 2024 football, everybody.
Not to be too elitist and against the elitist class, but that sounds like something that just benefits rich people, Justin. 100%. Because, I'll say this. I'll say, quote, lucky. I spent a few years in private school in my informative years and then went to public school after. Bottom line, mom and dad stopped paying for it because it was expensive, Justin. Mm-hmm. Like, private schools are nuts.
Well, if you're really good at football, other people pay it for you, though.
This is true.
And then they actually give you extra money, too, in NIL funds.
But, yeah, that's fair.
Kind of like The Blind Side.
That's spot on, man.
Weird. He just went to their college because they They gave him a bed.
Like I said, I had
there's nothing nefarious going on.
I had a conversation with one of my colleagues at Reeser last against Purdue when I was like, how ironic is it that the mean NCAA lady from The Blind Side
It's kind of right the whole time.
Well, that, and then now they look at her and go, yeah, you can't enforce this anymore. Yeah. We need to find a new job for you, or you were told to go away.
Also,
like, that poor lady is probably she probably was let go.
Also was 100% right the entire time.
They took you in. They fed you. They paid for your private education. And also, you would go to the University of Mississippi.
And he did, and they did.
Yeah, it's like, can that not be true? Like, I stepped back and I said, maybe it's more cynical, but, like, is it possible that, like, one hand just washed the other and it was like I don't want to say that there wasn't love or all that. I didn't know, but
I'm sure there was, but also it was understood. His guy's going to Ole Miss.
But, like, is it not like a quid pro quo? Like, hey, we're going to help get you off the street. Maybe you go to Ole Miss.
I've said this multiple times.
Maybe you go to Ole Miss.
I don't think it's a bad trait, but it is a unique trait to me. I am a nice guy. Brendan, you know me. I'm a nice guy. But I think like a scumbag. And I don't act on it. But I think like a scumbag. And the moment I saw The Blind Side, I was like, if I was a rich family who really loved Tennessee, I'd be out adopting linemen too. Like, what are we got to do? Just file for adoption? And then now he's our son, and then we could pay for give him a truck and now it's completely legal to give him stuff because he's our son.
You could do that too.
The first thing I thought of when I watched The Blind Side, which again shows how I think like a scumbag, first off, I was like, oh, what a great movie. Sandra Bullock's really good actress. Secondly, I go,
don't you dare touch her Oscar for that.
But the second thing I was like, there would be somebody that would adopt a kid so he could give him a truck just so he would go to Florida.
I guarantee
there would be.
I
understand why they were like,
yep, I guarantee you
we're going to investigate this. This doesn't make any sense.
Right now in America, it's happening right now, Justin. There is a kid right now, basketball, football, who is a senior.
All over the place in basketball.
Right, who is a senior, who is living with, I would willing to bet that. There's at least one kid who's out there living with rich adopted parents who's like, yeah, you're going to be going to state. All you got
to do is come here. We'll adopt you. Now, again, it's all different now because NIL is becoming more and more of a thing, and now these guys can just pay them, and you're not ineligible. But back then, yeah, it's like, so you adopt him, you can just give him a truck? Yeah. Because could you imagine if a Ole Miss booster gave a truck to a high school kid who's a 5-star recruit? Yeah, that's completely illegal. Unless you adopt him.
Crazy. All right, let's get to Make or Miss since we've filibustered for, almost 14 minutes.
I feel like that was an incredibly entertaining 13 minutes.
Well, Justin, still, like I said, we skipped Make or Miss yesterday. I have a few I want to get to.
Okay.
But, let's go ahead and start here. If Davante Adams is traded to the Chiefs, Al will rise from the grave and take his team back, Undertaker style.
Yeah, I would. I am not a believer in ghosts. I've said this multiple times. I don't believe in ghosts.
That would rise Al.
If the Raiders traded Davante Adams to the Chiefs, I would maybe believe in ghosts because,
that's awesome.
Like you said, Al Davis would definitely haunt the Raiders.
I finally got Justin to say
that is not. That is. Never say never, you know what I mean? But I'm saying never because Mark Davis, who runs the team, who is Al's son, knows that the legacy, like the Al Davis legacy is the most important thing to the Raiders.
It is.
I think more important than winning a Super Bowl.
It is.
Like they built an eternal flame to him. And again, Al Davis, one of the most important people in football history.
He is.
Cannot deny that. Before he even owned the Raiders, he was instrumental in getting the league formed. Unbelievable.
And I must say this, at least no offense to, actually, no, some offense intended. Al Davis, real famous with the ducktail. Even the ducktail is better than the darn bowl cut of Mark Davis. It's the worst haircut maybe in America, hands down.
A lot of people hanging on to that ducktail. Yeah, you got to let it go sometimes. If it's a little too thin up top, the back ain't. They call that the Michael Bolton. You're going bald, bro. You can grow it in the back all you want. And then Bolton.
But, but I'm
just saying, that's never say never. I'm saying never. They're not going to trade. They would not trade him to the Chiefs. That rivalry is still important to Mark Davis. He would never sign off on that trade. It is not gonna happen.
Now, that being said, I do think the Chiefs will call, and I think they will join just like the Jets and just like the Saints. And if there is one,
who's the Chiefs GM?
Brett Veach. And if Brett Veach has taught us anything,
it's like Oakland. Come on, Myers. They've been in Vegas for 3 years. Vegas phone is like, hey, it's Brett Veach from Kansas. Hang up right there.
I mean,
I don't even think he would get to city of Kansas City before he's hung up on.
It's possible. And you're probably right, but I like to live in this world where the Chiefs are the evil empire who get to do everything. And it's like, yeah, because we did things like restructure contracts for Mahomes and things, we can go figure this out, right?
They could if it was any other team other than the Chiefs.
So,
one is in division. It's in division, and two, that is
or the Chargers or
I think Bears Packers is probably the longest running rivalry in the NFL. Chiefs Raiders is right there. I don't think there's another one. It used to, like, Steelers Browns used to be, but then the Browns became the Ravens, and then there's the new Browns. But Bears Packers is the number one rivalry in the NFL. I would say Chiefs Raiders.
Wow, this
probably number two. I know there's Cowboys Giants or Cowboys Eagles.
Odds have come out this morning, Justin. So as of let's see. So as of this morning, the leader is the New York Jets at plus 115. So still not even a betting favorite.
Devontae Adams, really wants to play football with Aaron Rodgers.
But throw it out there. Washington Commanders come in at plus 300.
That makes sense.
Chiefs.
That division's going to be up for grabs. I really do.
Chiefs and Steelers come in at plus 500 each. And Saints come in at plus 6. They also throw in the Dallas Cowboys at a ridiculous plus 6,600. So old Jerry ain't going to get it done.
But I don't think there's any way, shape, or form Mark Davis signs off on a trade of a disgruntled player who could still play at the top of the NFL, trading him to arch enemy and Patrick Mahomes in division. I just don't think that's ever going to happen.
Very much like I
think New Orleans, I think New York. Washington's interesting too.
So let me throw out a scenario. So very much how I think right now, after he's done some awesome media interviews with the Blazers, Joe Cronin is back in his lair, sitting in his giant chair going, I'm just waiting for my opportunity. Mm-hmm. Because, again, let's live in this world where the Chiefs are the Lakers and the Blazers are the Raiders. Mm-hmm. And I've said forever, as it gets closer and closer to, trade deadline, the Lakers are going to look around and go, well, crap, if we're going to continue to maintain LeBron's prime, we need more star power. Who's the most go-gettable star? Jeremy Grant. And that's where Joe Cronin will spin around in his chair, maybe petting a cat, going, I'll take my 2 first-round picks, please. So my question to you is this, Justin. If the Chiefs give an uneven offer, which a team chasing 3 Super Bowls could do, you're making history. Or if you're Devontae Adams and you're like, I want to play for them. Because you've told me you get to pick where you go to an extent in the NFL. Maybe not with that. Maybe it's a little bit less with the divisions, as you mentioned, and all that. But say there's a scenario where they go, we give you a first-round pick and, I don't know, a decent player.
Yeah.
And you're the Raiders, you go, this is a lopsided deal. Is there any circumstance? Or do you just say no? And that's fair.
It would have to be such a lopsided deal.
Because
I hear what you're saying about the Blazers and the Lakers, but that's, to me, nowhere close to the animosity that was there between the Chiefs and the Raiders for years and years and years.
This is because I don't understand that, right? Because I grew up, the Chiefs were terrible until they got Alex Smith, and the Raiders have been terrible my whole life.
Yeah. This is some old AFC West stuff.
Wait, AFC West when the Seahawks were
When the Seahawks were there.
You go.
And obviously when John Elway was with the Broncos.
That's awesome.
And it was some old stuff. And Marcus Allen played for both. And it was I remember it being a very big deal when Marcus Allen left the Raiders and went to the Chiefs. And I think, there's a handful of other guys.
That's interesting.
It's a thing.
So you're saying they are way more hated than Chargers-Broncos in that division by the Raiders?
I think so.
Okay, I was just curious. Again, I'm not a big
It might
AFC
just be
West.
my 1992 Justin Brain, but I think so. All right, coming up next, we got some stuff we saw on the internet. Before we do that, I do want to let you know about The 2024 season tip-off free Fan Fest from the Portland Trail Blazers. That's right. Celebrate Fan Fest presented by Daimler Truck North America. Experience Blazer fandom at the Moda Center. Food, games, giveaways, and fun for everyone. This Saturday, the 5th of October at 2 p.m. Get your tickets for this free event at trailblazers.com/fanfest. Wrap-up hour number 2 next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's wrap up hour number 2. Brendan, I asked you during the break if you were a SpongeBob SquarePants fan. I was a smidge too old for the SpongeBob phenomenon. Also, how shall I say it? When I was in college, I drank more beer than smoked weed. Matter of fact, didn't smoke weed at all. So that also impaired my my SpongeBob abilities.
Well, it was illegal at the time. So
It was, and I did not do it, and I did not partake in it.
Now, different story.
It's a different story, but I remember back then, I had friends who would get high and watch SpongeBob.
Yeah, partake and watch SpongeBob.
And thought it was hilarious, and I never got it. It was, but it's a cartoon, right? I was an adult, wasn't supposed to like said cartoons, and I wasn't high at the time. So so I was never into the SpongeBob phenomenon, like the whole what was the whole thing with SpongeBob and like the halftime show and like Travis Scott?
That's a big deal.
Yeah, and I didn't get it because I wasn't
the
SpongeBob.
Bubble Bowl, baby.
So yes, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I am aware of what SpongeBob is. But I don't know if you have heard about this, because I might be able to. I might be blowing your mind, or you might have already seen it and said, "Nah." Wendy's is making a Krabby Patty burger and Frosty. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
Wendy's version of the iconic Krabby Patty, which is where I believe SpongeBob worked for
The Krusty Krab.
the Krusty Krab, and they made Krabby Patty burgers. Who owned the Krusty Krab?
Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krabs. And then there was Squidward, and he's a bad guy.
No, Squidward's good. Plankton's the bad guy.
Plankton's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still remember, like I said, it's probably been 15 years since I watched an episode of SpongeBob, but man,
Squidward's his buddy.
Yes.
Is
but
it like the starfish?
No, that's Patrick. Squidward is the squid. Squidward is the Brendan of that show. Kind of, there's a lot of personality similarities. But, yeah, anyway, back to your point.
So the iconic Krabby Patty features quarter-pound Wendy's beef, hello, 2 slices of cheese, lettuce, tomato, pickle, onion, and Krabby collab sauce. Also, they are now making a pineapple under the sea Frosty. It's the new flavor of Frosty. Vanilla Frosty, no, not a fan. Only chocolate Frosty should be allowed. Base, and it's swirled with pineapple mango puree. Now that you know about this, October the 8th, so 6 days from now, shall you be getting a Krabby Patty burger. And I know you like Wendy's nuggets, and I know you eat there for breakfast on the way home from the show every once in a while. Where are you on Wendy's hamburgers?
Yeah, I like them square patties, man.
My wife and I had a debate because she thinks I am a weirdo because she said, other than McDonald's, when you were fat,
That's blunt.
where did you...
Shout out Kelly, man.
She knows, I know.
The fact that you guys can be that blunt with each other.
We don't need to do...
I love it.
We don't need to, do around it. She was like, when you were big, what would you eat other than McDonald's? And I said, Wendy's. And she was like, what? And she couldn't believe it. Like, she couldn't, like... Wendy's Wendy's was my go-to back then. Or when Whoppers were 99 cents, I would go get Whoppers because I love Whoppers still to this day. I don't like anything else at Burger King, but I love Whoppers. But yeah, I would.
Is that more surprising than when
I would go to Wendy's, get a Big Bacon Classic.
Was it more?
And then I also throw in a couple Junior Bacon Cheeseburgers because they were on the $1 menu.
Oh, the $1 menu. What a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, let me ask you this. Was it more surprising that, Justin, or more surprising when I think our good friend Devon Pouncey met the only 2 people in his life who've ever been to Arby's?
Yeah, he was like, puts up with Arby's.
I know. But no, yeah, I would try this. I would. It's got double the cheese. I'd probably hold the tomatoes. But
yeah. I like tomatoes. You like tomatoes?
Not unless it's adding sugar and ketchup, man.
And ketchup.
Yeah, I know. Like, I've had so many people.
You're not the only person to do that. I know multiple people that don't like tomatoes but like ketchup. I've said I'm a weirdo. The fact that I don't like pickles, I want to. I've tried to.
Do you like relish?
But I like relish.
Okay, that's
and not
kind
just
of
sweet.
thing?
And you're like, oh, sweet relish? No, like dill relish. You take the pickle and you cut it up. I don't know. It's more palatable that way.
Interesting. No,
and I've tried because I figure like, oh, maybe it's just I was a kid. I didn't like pickles, so I'll try one now. Like, nope. Still don't like them.
But yes, I would definitely
I always get nervous when they get to these things like I think they talked about making like with the Simpsons they had the Krusty Burger.
Yeah.
or like didn't like Harry Potter, don't they make like butter beer?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys realize it's made up. It's not a real thing. It's like, we're going to drink butter beer. It's like, you could just you could call anything butter beer. It's made up.
It all starts and stops with McDonald's. This is in response to that McDonald's has owned the narrative on celebrity meals for the past couple years. The Travis Scott meal, when it came out, was enormous.
What is the Travis Scott meal?
I don't remember what it was.
You don't even remember
but
what
it was like, special sauce, drink, quarter pound, whatever the combo was. And
if you were to make a Brendan meal, what would it be?
From what restaurant?
Pick one.
Yeah, if we were to go with the Brendan meal, that is. Would you accept if we circle back to it for the mailbag? So I get more than a minute.
I give you more than a minute.
Would that be acceptable? Okay.
Let me throw something out, though, because I think I know you a little bit.
You do.
What if you took like a Wendy's burger, but then you would take the fries out and add nuggets? Like
nuggets in a burger?
Nuggets instead of fries.
Yeah, that's...
How have we not done that, by the way, in this
fries
world?
are tasty, Justin.
I like fries too, but like, what if we were just like, I want nuggets instead of?
You're saying you want more meat? That's what we're getting at.
Yeah,
here's some more protein.
I made an Italian meat sauce.
You were telling me
the other day.
Yeah.
And I was gonna make some meatballs, and Kelly goes, "You're gonna make meatballs and then put meat sauce on top of that." And I'm like, "Yeah, I see nothing wrong with this." And she's like. You do whatever you want to do. She's like, that's just weird.
That's kind of how I feel, too. I look at that, and I'm like, I would probably not be down at Justin's house that night because I'd be like, there's an awful lot of beef in this sauce,
well, I had this
covered in beef.
Because I don't want to eat, like, I made this whole thing of sauce, and it's great, but I have nothing to put it on because I don't want to eat pasta because, it hits me in the midsection. So I'm like, what if I make meatballs? And she's like, it's a meat sauce.
On meat.
On meatballs.
You can get your meat sweats, Justin.
You're a weirdo. And I'm like... Maybe I am. I don't know.
Hey, no one's weird with their food palate, man. Take it from me. Each to their own. We just smile and wave.
I'm well aware of your weirdness. All right, there you go. Hey, Krabby Patty Burgers. Good luck, everybody. Have at it. Also, there should only be chocolate Frosties.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm all
the
in
fact
on
that
the
vanilla Frosties
That's
exist,
tougher.
I'm out. But I guess, you know what? They wouldn't make them if people didn't buy them. Coming up, third hour of the program, Tyson Alger Joy's show, some more football talk. This Devontae Adams thing's getting kind of fun. Also an RCM mailbag. Next, 620 Rip City Radio.
8 a.m. on a Wednesday. Brendan Slaughter with you for Rip City Mornings. The MLB playoffs saw Kansas City over Baltimore, Detroit over Houston, the Mets over the Brewers, and the Padres over the Braves in wild card action. Those best-of-3 series continue tonight with the losers looking to push it to a Game 3, winners looking to clinch and move on. And in NFL news, the Raiders say they are open to trading star wideout Devontae Adams. Uh-oh, that don't sound good. Coming up on the big show, we're going to have Tyson Alger about 20 minutes, talk some Ducks, everything I-5 corridor. You've got Hour 3, Rip City Mornings on a Wednesday.
Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings. Thanks for hanging out with us, whether we are just a small fraction of your day or you are hanging out with us all morning long. We appreciate each and every one of you. Couldn't do it without you. I've tried. Nobody seemed to care. So appreciate you guys hanging out. If you are new to the show, hey, thanks. If you like what you hear, maybe tell a friend. If you're a returning customer, as always, we appreciate you coming back. And you can tell a friend, too, because we are stacking the bricks in building Rip City Mornings each and every day. And if you were watching on YouTube, you could see me metaphorically stacking bricks. All right, Tyson Alger joins us in 20 minutes as Oregon is now fully immersed in Big Ten play, but they actually face their first Big Ten Classic, right? Is Michigan State coming to Autzen Stadium on Friday. UCLA was like New Coke. This is now it's Big Ten Classic with the Michigan.
But not really, because there's a familiar snake on the other sideline. So
it is so fascinating, this Oregon football season, unlike any other, right? So far this season, unlike any other, they played Idaho, they played Boise, they played Oregon State, they played UCLA, and then they faced Jonathan Smith.
Yeah,
season unlike it. We're like 5 games in. And I get it. Jonathan Smith wears the Michigan State colors now, and obviously I know how you and most Beaver believers feel about that. Don't blame you.
it's a very terrible shade of green. Even Oregon's green's better. And it is different. It is a different shade of green.
Okay.
They're like a forest green. I don't like it.
Oregon's uniforms, by the way, against UCLA, and I know that Oregon uniforms have always been a thing, but Oregon's uniforms at UCLA, darn near perfect. Darn near perfect. Oregon has been chasing perfection. You know how the back, Brady, you know the back of a $1 bill? On the back of a $1 bill, there is the unfinished pyramid, and a lot of people feel like, well, is that some sort of Mason thing? Well, it is, but
It is, yeah.
the unfinished pyramid is there to tell people, to remind them that America should never be finished. We're always trying to get better. Perfection is unattainable. We are just trying to be better as a country and as a society each and every day. And I've always loved that messaging on the back of the $1 bill, right? That unfinished pyramid. And Oregon uniforms have kind of felt like that since 1999 when they went to this uniform experiment. It is like, all right, it's never finished. At one point, Penn State came and went, yep, blue shirts, white helmet. We're done. We're never gonna do those different ever again. And Ohio State was like, yep, silver helmet, Buckeye stickers. We're done. Michigan, throw that wing on there. We are never moving on from this. And Oregon is like, they're the unfinished pyramid. It is always changing. And they're never going to get to a place where they're like, yep, we just wear these now forever, because that's been Oregon's thing. That's their brand. It is clearly what has set them apart. That and a multitude of other things. So I've seen every single version of the Oregon uniform, and there have been some sweet ones, and there have been some ugly ones, and there have been all points in between, some that are controversial to this day amongst Oregon fans. In particular, they tried to dress up like a duck with orange socks, and I'm like, that's terrible. And Oregon fans will be like, nope, you're an idiot, you don't get it. So
The Oregon Trail ones are up there, too.
Objectively terrible. So bad. Now, again, I've said this before. I believe the worst uniforms Oregon's ever rolled out were the Oregon Trail ones, where they put a topographical map on the uniform. The one where they dressed up like a cartoon duck. Like, say what you, it's a tribute to the mascot. They're dressing up like Donald Duck. That's what they did. And then there was the 2016 Pride of Oregon, which, again, I am an Oregonian, and I have pride of my state, and I realize that our state flag is yellow and blue, and that the old Oregon Webfoots were yellow and blue, but they aren't that anymore. And they wore uniforms that resembled the California Golden Bears, and they got 70 put on them.
What's the animal on the back of the state flag, though, Justin?
That is, we are the Beaver State, and
Gotcha. Just had to
it is. I'm with you.
Had to make that one clear, as we're talking about using the colors of the state, but it's a state that is the Beaver State.
Well, I think either one. I think either one is can lay claim to either of those colors because it is Cal.
That's entirely true.
How did Cal end up with the state like our state flag colors?
Yeah, that's
how
really
did that
weird.
happen?
Yeah.
That was a really big fumble, wasn't it?
It was major fumble.
Because from what I understand, Oregon University used to have those colors. And then, for whatever reason, went to the green and the yellow, which I love. But here's the other thing. I've said this about Oregon uniforms. Those three that I named, topographical map, dressing up like the mascot, it still makes me chuckle. We dressed up like a cartoon duck to play college football. And then the state flag uniforms, they all have one thing in common. They coincide with a pretty embarrassing loss. Pretty embarrassing loss. I wonder if they had won one of those games, if maybe we would have seen them again. Other embarrassing ones, the Vegas Bowl helmets that they wore, 2006 season. They look like a glowworm. You don't know what a glowworm is, but your parents do. They look like a glowworm. I don't believe we've ever seen those helmets ever again. Thank goodness, because they got embarrassed by BYU that day. So I think a big chunk of it is if they win. All that being said, the uniforms they wore against UCLA on Saturday were, dare I say, perfect. Maybe one of the best uniforms they've ever rolled out.
Their ones this weekend have a pretty good connotation.
I love the Fight Cancer Cause and the whole story
Dan
with
Lanning's family made them. It's cool.
With Sophia Lanning and everything. Like, I love it, and I don't mind every once in a while getting out there. You know what I mean? Especially for a good cause. But like the state flag that's not a good cause. That's just a big old miss right there. The topographical map, don't know if we needed that. But the UCLA those are pretty sweet. Those are pretty perfect. I know they're never going to achieve perfection and say we just do those from here on out, but I loved them. I loved the helmet. That should be Oregon's helmet for the foreseeable future, but they're obviously going to have multitude of one. What's your favorite Beaver combo? What's your favorite? Is it the 2000s?
The Giant Killers uniforms that they wore in 2010 when Oregon needed to win one game to go to the national championship, and those were like a complete like callback to like the 1967. They were so clean.
But would you want to wear those like every home game? You like go a whole season of those?
Well, no, you
because
asked
like
me
what
what
Oregon.
You asked me what my favorite was.
All right, my apologies.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
Let me be more clear. Is there? Because like I said, Michigan found their wing helmets and they're like, "Yep, we wear those forever."
Yeah.
Is there where if you go like, "Hey, one season we're wearing these," which ones would they be? Because I would take what Oregon wore at UCLA, and then you do a home version of that. You wear those for a season, your boy is a happy guy because those were awesome.
Yeah,
they were so good.
Oregon State looks great in all orange, and they haven't.
You like with the pants too, orange top and bottom,
orange top. Yeah, all little orange from head to toe. They don't wear it enough. And I'd be totally down to see that 6 or 7 home games a year. And coincidentally, a lot of the big wins in Beaver history, they're wearing orange.
What helmet do you want to go with that? Do you like the script?
I haven't seen
helmet.
I'm trying to make sure they have not broke out the new orange helmet yet this year. So we've only seen the black helmet and then the white with the scripted lettering from the Jerry Pettibone days.
Yes.
Which, hey, with how much the Beavers starting to run that option, Justin, maybe Jerry Pettibone would be proud of these boys. All jokes aside.
No jokes aside. I miss option football. I miss teams running the option.
Scripted,
I wish more teams would
scripted
go
helmet.
back.
I mean, Nike's never gonna, they probably look at you and go, "You are no Ducks." But hey, we'll give you a few uniform combos in a given year, and they always take care of the beefs. And I always they're pretty clean. And I like the iterations this year. They just haven't used them. They've been so boring in 4 games. I'm like, it was like okay. So like for instance, Justin, I think it was Purdue, or let's see, was it Purdue or was it the first game? Either way, one of the first 2 games, it was an orange out, and the team didn't wear orange.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad miss.
I'm like,
that's a pretty bad miss.
You're telling your fans to wear orange, and they're like, oh, well, the players decided to wear black. And
but no, you don't get to choose.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, what?
I think I saw.
So I don't know.
And Tyson may be able to talk about this more because I know he's had multiple conversations with Kenny Farr, who's the equipment manager at Oregon. Which talk about a job. That job.
So many jerseys. So you probably go to bed dreaming of jerseys.
But Tyson has talked to him multiple times, and I remember actually, I think it was on Tyson's podcast, which I've been a guest on a time or two, but on the I-5 corridor traffic report, the podcast to go along with the I-5.
You're coming on everybody's podcast. The I-5 corridor, Beaver's Edge. You're just rocking it, man.
Afternoons are fairly wide open. I actually enjoy going on as a guest. If you got a podcast out there and you want to hit me up, I'm more than happy to come on. But I remember Kenny Farr was talking about, like, they're like 2 years in advance. Like, they are currently right now, I believe, planning the 2026 Oregon uniforms.
That's nuts.
Over there in Beaverton, right? And, like, concepts and everything else. So if you go back and you watch, because they're wearing the Stomp Out Cancer uniforms this weekend, and designed by Sophia Lanning and the boys, Dan Lanning's children. If you go back and you watch that video, they're like, do you remember you were drawing this on the plane to the Holiday Bowl? That's when the Holiday Bowl is when they started planning these uniforms.
And that's why I said,
so, yeah, you could plan an orange out with some orange uniforms.
Well,
too.
And I guess that's just kind of the thing. Is like compared to Oregon, Justin, like I know, Oregon State has 4 new combos from Nike with their rebrand this year, and then they're going to have the uniforms that are secret for when they go back to the Old Benny against UNLV. So that will be kind of a cool little – I'm very curious to see what Nike throws out because they do a great job with throwbacks. And, that classic Old Benny, Justin –
it's a great logo.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a great logo.
It's not the mid-2000s Benny, the angry Benny, but I'm talking classic.
With his little sailor hat. That's a great logo.
That is.
It really is.
Which, I mean, truth be told, I think I'm very used to the newest one, but I kind of like the old two more than the current one.
A couple of weeks ago, I learned some stuff because you mentioned getting stuff from Nike, and I was when I was at a wedding a couple of weeks ago up in Ellensburg. I met someone who shall remain nameless who worked at the University of Washington athletic department, and of course, after a couple of cocktails at a wedding and some chit chat, and found out obviously I work in sports, and he was telling me about when Washington switched from Nike to Adidas. And the biggest reason why, and I'm like, yeah, what was up with? He was like, because Nike wouldn't give us their best stuff. And their best stuff went to Oregon, and then everybody else got it, and the athletic department said, fine, we're leaving. He's like, it's not a better deal. We don't get a better deal from it. They were mad because Oregon was getting all the good stuff or the top-of-the-line stuff, and it came down to some pettiness.
I'd be willing to bet Oregon would, just for the sake of keeping up appearances, you're right. Oregon will always get – I think Nike would never let Oregon State leave for that reason. A team in their own state, like they're probably like, yeah, you're going to be second fiddle, but we're still going to give you some solid.
Just get all the stuff and rebuild your baseball stadium.
Like, could you imagine if it was like, hey, the Beavers are going to Under Armour? I'd be like, oof.
It'd be terrible.
Bad shoes.
Yeah. Anyways, I have some thoughts about that as well, but we don't have time. What we do have time for is to welcome Tyson Alger to the show. That's going to be coming up in just a bit. But before we do that, I want to let you know again about Ticket Tuesday. That's right. It's red hot and rolling here on Rip City Radio. Blazer tickets up for grabs every Tuesday with Chad and Dwight, 3 to 6 on Rip City Drive. Blazer tickets this season, plus you can get single game tickets right now at trailblazer.com. It is Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday on Rip City Radio. I-5 corridor next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Oregon goes on the road, kind of for the first time. I mean, I know they took a bus trip up to Corvallis, but they actually stayed in a hotel for this one. So they go on the road to Big Ten country, which is L.A., and now they head back home on Friday night to face a Big Ten Classic opponent, but Jonathan Smith is the head coach. Interesting times for Oregon football. Joining us now to talk about the week that was in UCLA and looking ahead to a Friday night matchup with Michigan State, our good friend from the I-5 corridor. It is Tyson Alger back on the Big Show. Tyson, good morning, bud. How we doing?
Hey, we're doing good, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So we were talking about this earlier, and much like the back of the $1 bill reminds all of us Americans, Tyson, that we are an unfinished pyramid and we are an unfinished country. Oregon uniforms shall never be finished. They shall never seek perfection. That being said, the uniforms that Oregon wore on Sunday at UCLA might have been the best uniforms I've seen ever. Those were awesome.
Yeah, I'm not one to like go out of my way to praise Oregon for its uniforms. Mm-hmm. Like we know they're good and we know they have a lot of them, but there's been so many that it's hard to kind of you really get excited each week like maybe some of the fan base does. But yeah, I will say that these looked really good.
They were so awesome.
The yellow helmets, the contrast with the white. I still think the collar is a little large. But I love like the old school look blended with like I like that duck on the shoulders. Yeah, like that looked up there with one of the best uniforms I thought the Ducks have worn in the past too was that 2014 season when they wore the all stormtrooper white going into UCLA too at the Rose Bowl. They looked really good in that game. So maybe it's just something about playing at the Rose Bowl where the Ducks really good because you can even go to the candy apple green at the actual Rose Bowl in 2020. But yeah, the Ducks look pretty good in Hollywood.
I just and I know that they're never going to do like what the rest of college football does, which is, hey, we found a uniform we like, let's stick with it. That's never going to happen. But yeah, that I think the old school colors, because, like, obviously, if you ask me, I am a 45-year-old, and just make the uniforms like they were in 1996, and I will be a happy guy. And I realize that's never going to happen, but, like, the kind of the old school color scheme of the helmet, but with the new O on it, but still had the stripes down the middle. I love stripes on a helmet. I was enjoying that much more than I was enjoying the second half of a very late football game.
I was going to say like the stripe down the middle. I think is what makes it it's a really nice helmet, and I know they've kind of had different iterations, but the actual yellow of the helmet I think is what really kind of sets that uniform apart.
All right, I mentioned this earlier in the show, Tyson, and I'm curious your thoughts because obviously you started covering Oregon football there in that 2014 season, which was obviously crazy offensive explosion, and Marcus wins a Heisman Trophy. And while Chip Kelly was with the Philadelphia Eagles, there were still obviously the fingerprints of the Chip Kelly era, and you were aware of the Chip Kelly era that was there before you started covering the team. And I'm wondering, even though that was 12 years ago, are we still kind of spoiled by the Chip Kelly era of Oregon football? Because I look at this game, and I'm like, all right, nothing to complain about. I mean, one bad throw by Gabriel you'd like to have back, but nothing to complain about. The defense dominated. UCLA didn't get 200 yards of offense. Tez had a monster game. It was never in doubt. You roll into the fourth quarter with your third-string quarterback taking snaps and taking a knee, and it's a conference game on the road. Yet I still felt like, meh. And I wonder, am I still being spoiled by, like, 2012 Oregon football where, like, we start the conversation at 40 points?
Yeah, the challenge when I started on this beat was, like, trying to find, like, the storyline in Oregon wins where they'd win by 30 or 40 points. Like, it was and if they didn't win by that, which they never didn't win by that, then like you had your story. And so I think that was kind of the expectation of like, hey, when Oregon's a top ranked team, they should be scoring 40, 50 points a game and, you know, just running away with it. And I think we got a little spoiled because like, yeah, like this was a dominant game. Like the Ducks were, they had it well in their bag by basically halftime. They're playing on the road. Like, the players that you wanted to see looked good. Dylan Gabriel looked good again. The offensive line didn't give up a sack again. Like, I think everything's progressing to a point where it needs to go. I still don't think they're at the point where they need to be for the Ohio State game, but as you hear every post game for the last 3 weeks, it's about progress. It's about getting better. Yeah, I think you're getting a little spoiled, Justin. Like, that was a fine win, and I know it was on a Saturday where you were coming off of like the high of Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah.
And you wanted to see your Ducks like look that same caliber. And I just think that was a game where no matter what really happened, like you weren't going to get a fair reading. Like, UCLA is not a good football
They're
team.
bad.
They might be the worst team in the Big Ten. They threw for like 125 yards. They rushed for less than 50. I don't know how they begin to start building that thing towards something that's respectable. But the Ducks did what they needed to do in that game, and I have zero complaints from it.
Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. I'm wondering this, and Lanning will clearly never admit this. No coach, I think, in America would, but I'm watching this game, and at first, and again, as you know, especially late night Saturday, your boy's got a nice little buzz going when he watches the Oregon Ducks play. And the second half is going on, and I'm like, all right, when's the big barrage and the big sweep of points and here's the big kind of statement win for Oregon, and it never quite came. And then, when I shook the cobwebs off Sunday morning, Tyson, I started to realize, in the second half, they really seemed interested in running the clock, getting the win, getting out of L.A., getting back to Eugene on a short week. You get a conference. And so in an era where there is a playoff at stake, not a BCS and not a 4 team where you really don't have to make those statement wins, you really don't have to run up the scoreboard, I felt like this was Lanning going like, UCLA can't move the ball. Let's run it. Let's get the clock out of here, and let's get out of LA and get ready for a short week. That's what I felt in the second half. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, completely. And like, that's what I mean by like saying that like Oregon never really felt out of control of this game. And I completely agree with you that I think that the way we have to watch these college football games is different here in the 12-team playoff era, just because like you don't need those 1 a.m. style points that maybe you did in the past. Like, no one's watching, and that's okay. Get the W and get penciled back into your top 10 spot in the AP rankings. Like, I think that, especially with the games that the Ducks have coming up, like we're getting to kind of the make or break time with Michigan State and Ohio State coming up. I think getting back home healthy, getting back home a couple maybe hours earlier, like I'm sure they can figure out a way to maximize that time. Yeah, like I think that was a game where they were completely in control, and you even heard Lanning afterwards say like that was a darn near complete game, and we haven't really heard them say anything close to that so far this season. So I'm sorry you didn't get your 60-point win. I know that might have been tough for you. And I'm not here like saying that the Duck, like everything's completely perfect and things are completely fixed for the Ducks, but I think that was a very strong step in the right direction for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a different wiring. And I think as fans, and especially, you go back, and I'm old enough to still remember the BCS. And when you did have to have those style points, and you did worry about, well, are they going to be ranked? And obviously everybody's talking about Alabama and Georgia and what's going to happen there. And it to that NFL kind of mentality, which is, games in control. Don't need another turnover. Don't need another injury. Just survive, advance. And the other thing is, Tyson, everything was pointing towards October 12th anyways. And again, I know these coaches hate it when you bring that up, but that's the reality of it. Is you're favored again by more than 3 touchdowns on Friday. You take care of business there, and it could be a boring game. It's, October 12th is your Waterloo. Like that's there it is. That's the moment. You know what I mean?
That's the what is the thing that they have to catch in Harry Potter? Where the snitch. That's the snitch. Like you can score all the other points, catch or score whatever they do in that.
Is it Quidditch? Did you just drop a Quidditch reference on us?
I did, and that's the Ohio State game, man. Because like everything else is just kind of periphery. Like Oregon could be scoring 50 points a game going into that one, and if they score 10 and lose by 30 to Ohio State, like that's the benchmark. Or if they flip that around, like that's going to be the narrative changing game, just like it was in the first book. Did that come out in the first? I'm going to let you change topics here because I'm struggling.
You are asking the wrong dude, Tyson. First off, as if I'm going to be reading books. I mean, come on. What are we doing? And so, I mean, and then like the book and even the movies. I've never watched one Harry Potter movie. Does that make me weird? I've never watched one, not 1 second of one movie.
Well, what? Those probably came out mid 2000s, so you were in your early 30s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just wasn't for me.
Yeah,
wasn't for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's just different demographics, you know.
Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. I always get nervous about these Friday games. I don't like the short weeks. I know it's the new normal in college football, and maybe they're adjusting more, but I don't like them. I still have vivid memories of, short weeks and big time teams going down. But Michigan State coming in, you mentioned UCLA and Purdue might be the two worst teams in the conference. Michigan State, I think, and I apologize to producer Brendan, who still, obviously has some sort of feelings about the Michigan State head coach, but I think Jonathan Smith will get them to being competitive, but they're not there yet. But interesting that, again, we talk about in a season that's supposed to be so different, it's like, all right, so played UCLA. Now you play Big Ten Classic. Oh, that's Jonathan Smith over there. What a weird first 5 weeks for the first Big Ten season for Oregon.
It's Jonathan Smith, and it's probably the Big Ten team the Ducks are most familiar with.
Yes, Aiden Childs.
You can look Aiden Childs, but then, I mean, even just like you can look back. They played him in the Red Box Bowl. They played him in 2015. They played him in 2014. Like the Ducks. The Ducks are awfully familiar with like the shade of this white and green. Yeah, and it's just kind of an odd one too, because like Michigan State's not that great this year. Like Aiden Childs, I think, is going to be good, but he's pretty erratic with the football right now. So I think this is a game where Oregon's secondary might feast a bit. But yeah, like I do think it's a nice little run up where like Oregon will be tested a bit. Michigan State does have talent, but I think it's another just kind of like gradual step up and ramp to Ohio State. Again, I think that's the one that really matters, but it's only going to matter if they win this week. But I don't think that this is one where the Ducks necessarily need to score 60 points just to emphasize their case. Like I think it's just get in there, get a win, and be healthy.
Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. The other thing, I don't know if we talked about this earlier in the week, but I wanted to bring it up with you. Going back to kind of the comparison to those Chip Kelly days and Oregon's uniforms and style and everything else, it was pleasing to the eye. And it seems as though this season, Tyson, even going into halftime of the Oregon State game, like Oregon, when you look at the stat sheet and then when you look at what is going on in the game, it doesn't seem to kind of jive, if you know what I mean. Like, is this going to be an Oregon team that is just like, it's a grinder? They just, you look at the stats, and Gabriel was 278 with 3 touchdowns. You had Jordan James with a 100-yard game. He's 5 yards a carry. You had a receiver over 100 yards in Tez. And you still were like, but it doesn't really look all that pretty. It's fascinating, the difference in the stats versus kind of the aesthetics of Oregon football. But in the end, if you're winning games, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, the thing with Jordan James is he was averaging like 7.2 yards per carry last year, which I think is probably a unfair benchmark to try to pursue. But Oregon's offense was really, really good last year. I think that's the thing that like we're forgetting. Like it was up there with like the Chip Kelly level styles of Oregon offenses, and you lost a lot of key pieces from that, and it's taken a little bit of time to adjust. But like it's an offense that really gets its stats in grinding sorts of ways. Like I know they're not necessarily like a pound the football sort of team, but like the reason Gabriel's completing 85% of his passes is because about 30 of them are thrown behind the line of scrimmage. Like that whole narrative around Bo Nix last year of Bo Nix never throws the ball downfield, like that's completely the narrative of Gabriel. And so it's a lot of body blows and it's a lot of jabs, and then that opens up some of the deeper shots like that 52-yard pass to Tez Johnson. But it just seems like that you have to connect a lot of things together before the Ducks are able to kind of like take those shots. And so I think that's why it's, right now it's been effective and they've been able to compile the yards, but it does feel like that it's a lot of work to get those for a team that is kind of known for kind of cutting through defenses like butter.
Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. It's also been weird this season. I don't know if it's been like this for you, but like, when you cover a team and we focus obviously on Oregon and Oregon State here on the show, and then when you expand, you're like, all right, then you go into conference play and you're like, oh, that's right. The conference doesn't exist anymore. And like, is Utah still a thing that we need to care about? Is Arizona State still a thing to care about? And then kind of focusing on into the Big Ten, which is where I wanted to go. At the beginning of the year, back in the summer when I was at Big Ten Media Day, it felt like Oregon and Ohio State were right there at the top of the Big Ten Conference. Penn State right there underneath. And then it felt like there might be a bit of a significant gap. I know we're one game into Big Ten play, but we are a third of the way through the season. And I still think, like we talked about, the Oregon-Ohio State game is going to have a huge impact. But is Indiana good? Is Michigan good? Is USC good? Like, there's a handful of teams where I'm like, are they good?
Yeah, I think the thing that we also have to remember about the Big Ten is there's roughly 30 teams in the conference,
yeah,
and so a few of them are bound to be kind of like, yeah, that's a nice roster they have there. And, you can look at Penn State. You can look at, Illinois had been playing pretty darn good up until they played Penn State. Indiana's just been smoking opponents. Rutgers, I know Washington controlled most of it. I don't think Rutgers is good. Like that Rutgers-Washington game had like the vibes of Oregon's first 2 weeks where it's Oregon completely controlled Washington controlled most of that game. They just kept shooting themselves in the foot. Like if I'm Dan Lanning, I play that Rutgers-Washington game on a loop inside the HDC like all week, just saying like, hey, this is what you almost did against Idaho and Boise State. Yeah, it's a deep conference. Like I'm with you in the sense that like I still have to retrain my brain to pay attention to the Big Ten teams over the weekend. Like I'm still waiting to see if Cam Rising's ever going to play. I think this might be his year.
That's just silliness, right? Isn't that we've reached silly level with the Cam Rising thing, right?
The thing though is like they, if he comes back, like.
I said this earlier, Tyson. My favorite
Cam
stat
Rising probably works at a bank somewhere.
I know. My favorite stat is that I believe Cam Rising hurt his knee the same week as Damar Hamlin nearly died on a football field, and Damar Hamlin has played more snaps since then.
Jesus. But if they get him back,
you never know. It's a game time decision. All right. Hey, Tyson, thanks so much. You can follow Tyson on X at Tyson Alger. You can subscribe to the I-5 corridor. The link's in the bio, as the kids say, or you go to I-5 corridor. Listen to the traffic report wherever you find finer podcasts, and of course you can hear them each and every Wednesday on this particular program. Hey, Tyson. Have a great couple of days. Safe travels down to Eugene. Maybe I'll see you parked on I-5 on Friday, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Have a good one.
There you go. Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor. We have got the, what are we doing? Mailbag? Yeah, that's next. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, let's wrap up the big show. We do that the same way each and every day. It is the RCM mailbag with random questions, any subject, any topic. Nothing, I repeat, nothing is off limits. Do we duck the tough questions? No, we don't duck them at all. We have a fun intro. It's going to tell you the same thing I just said. So let's open up the mailbag. All right, a bit of a reverse mailbag. I asked Brendan this an hour ago, and he was like, you got to give me more time. I don't have 45 seconds to comprehend what you just asked me. So if you could create your own fast food meal, like it would be like the number 4 Brendan meal or whatever, what combination of entree, side, all that's because this came from the Travis Scott meal, correct? That you said was a very big deal.
Yeah, Travis Scott, Jay Balvin. Then obviously now we talked about the
who?
Sorry,
Who's Jay who?
Jay Balvin.
Who's that?
Big Latin American artist who's
Like
kind of
Bad Bunny?
Yes, like Bad Bunny. Yes,
Okay,
like Bad Bunny. So
I know who Bad Bunny is.
Yeah, so very similar.
Despacito.
Yes, very similar.
That song still hits, by the way.
It sure does. There are a lot of songs from like 2012, 2013 that still hit. But here's where I'm going to go, Justin. We're going to go to Wendy's, and we're going to go chicken. But we're going to do, it's the Brendan meal would be like some kind of a home-style chicken club to start, right? Like some kind of a fried chicken patty. Then we start putting on fixins and stuff like that.
So, okay. Like this is your own, you're making your own, or is this like a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich?
Making my own, but you can start with that baseline in
All
your
right.
head, right?
All right.
So I'm starting with just like bun and chicken. Then I'm getting crazy, Justin. I'm putting something like macaroni on that chicken sandwich or something unique, right? Maybe
Okay.
it's Frank's Red Hot sauce.
Okay, now
something unique about that is going to be there.
There's a place in Eugene, and I don't know the name, plus I'm not going to give a free shout-out, but there's a brewery down in Eugene where I think a former Oregon offensive lineman, might have been Jackson Powers Johnson, I don't remember, was able to create his own burger, and it was like that. It was a burger with mac and cheese
Dude, it's
on
becoming
the burger.
super popular to have like I saw it at Buffalo Wild Wings this last weekend. They got like a bacon mac burger, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like a burger with mac and cheese, like. So then we'd roll with some chicken nuggets for the side, and Justin, you got to wash it down, large Coca-Cola.
So the Travis Scott meal, quarter pounder with cheese and bacon, medium fry, barbecue dipping sauce, and then a large Sprite. That's the Travis Scott meal.
And you got some kind of cool toy with it too. That's it
Really?
turned out is like really rare that like people are reselling on eBay for a whole bunch of money.
That's not a surprise.
I was like, darn, I wish I could have got the like it's like a giant McNugget pillow, and it's got like Travis Scott's logo on it or whatever, and like they're like $3,000 on eBay. You're like, sheesh.
Yeah, I would be. It would be a quarter pounder with cheese meal, but then I would add chicken nuggets to the side.
Nice.
This is one of my favorite. Whenever the very rare times when we'll do a quick McDonald's drive-through, I get a quarter pounder with cheese meal. If I'm feeling frisky, I'll go double quarter pounder with cheese. Throw another all beef patty on there, and then what I do is I create this because I then steal Kelly's chicken nuggets.
Okay, so I should ask you this.
She'll get like the 10-piece and like 6-piece doesn't feel like enough.
But like 10's a little too
But
many.
10, so I was like, just give me 2 of those.
No, the other,
there's just a couple of extra chicken nuggets.
The other day I had a.
I would also do like if I were making the Justin meal, I would do the Five Guys thing, but at McDonald's
with fries.
Throw the extra fries in the bag.
Absolutely, man. I'm
double
with
quarter pounder with cheese, 3 extra nuggets just for fun. Because here's the other thing that I would like to recreate. Have you ever been to Arby's or a place where they make both regular and curly fries?
Yeah.
And you get the bonus curly fry? How fun is that?
It's true.
So I would be like, that would be like my 3 chicken nuggets. Just in the bag, this is going to sound gross, but I don't care. 3 loose chicken nuggets in the bag. And you go like, hey,
heck yeah.
Somebody dropped some chicken. That's the Justin meal, is the double quarter pounder with cheese.
Nice.
Fries, and then oops, I dropped 3 nuggets in the bag, and I would also do the Five Guys thing where you dump some extra fries in the bag as well.
Okay.
That would be what I would want because when you go to Arby's and you get that extra curly fry, or back in the day, and they might still do it. It's been a minute since I've been to a Burger King. Burger King used to have the onion rings. And
still do.
A full thing of onion rings is a bit much, but you get a thing of fries, but they accidentally scoop an onion ring in there. What a fun little surprise. So that's what I would do, but with nuggets at McDonald's.
100%. Burger King's onion rings probably stand up in fast food onion rings, though.
You think so?
They're superior to Sonic, and Sonic really prided themselves on them onion rings. But I'll say this, couple thoughts on what you said. First, I have to ask, Justin, would there be any circumstance that you would copy your wife's order at McDonald's and get a Filet-O-Fish?
Never. Zero, zilch, none, nada.
Okay. Well,
and if I did get a Filet-O-Fish, I would also not copy her order, which is minus tartar and add ketchup. No, I would not do that.
I'm so glad to know I'm not alone in this world.
You do you.
Yeah, I pulled through
my lovely wife, but no. If I did get a Filet-O-Fish, if I showed up, now I will say at McDonald's, the Filet-O-Fish bun needs. And I think you can order it on. We need that on other things.
Oh,
because it's like pillowy. It's real. Like we need that on other things.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would. I
only ask because every time I do it, I don't feel shame. It's just like forever and always now. Whenever, like 2 times in the last few months, there was one local place up in Longview, and then once when I swung through Burgerville a couple weeks ago, where I'll get my halibut fish sandwich. And I'll do that. And every time that I say that now, it comes out of my head like, oh, yeah, Justin is silently judging you somewhere.
Yeah, not silently. Verbally, out loud. It's not a silent judge. Let me hold on. I'm going to actually get on. I'm up. See, I'm up on my soapbox.
Majorly judging.
Majorly judging right now.
That's almost as crazy, Justin.
I wouldn't move the microphone, but I've broken too many of those mic stands, and I put myself on self-induced probation. I can't.
I'll close you out with
this. I can't
this.
mess with the mic stand.
You know what was hilarious? And we'll about 15, 20 seconds left. The people who would fight you and go, I don't want your extra fries at Five Guys. Oh, that was a thing. It was. I don't need all those And we were like, we'll throw them away.
Then throw them away. Oh,
that was so funny.
That
was funny.
Psychopath behavior. I would call the police on them and be like,
remember there were 3 or 4 people.
Will you go check their basement? Check it right now. All right, that's going to do it for the big show. Thanks to Tyson Alger from the I-5 corridor. Thanks to super producer Brennan. Thanks to all of you. We are back tomorrow morning bright and early on a Thursday. We'll talk to you then on 620 Rip City Radio.